Emma Hochfelder is our next student. She attends Harlan Community High School in Harlan. She's a daughter of Johanna Hochfelder, and her project is entitled The Cyclone Way.
The only thing worse than being alone is feeling alone. Being in a crowded classroom but feeling as though you're merely taking up space. Walking down a hallway of familiar faces, but no one even acknowledging your existence. When everyone else pairs up into groups, you're left sitting all alone. Physically, other people might be around you, but loneliness, it consumes you. Loneliness is one of the leading contributing factors to teenage suicide. It is the critical sociological factor of suicide for which my project, the Cyclone Way, aims to combat. Now, before understanding how the Cyclone Way works, it is necessary to understand a dynamic in which a feeling of seclusion can be easily amplified. Them versus us. Them is a group to which you do not belong because you are an us. But when there is no longer an us for you to be a part of, you are left with only you. And in a school where you already know everyone, there's no place for just a you. There are just multiple groups of them, and you are not a part of them, because it has always been that way. This dynamic breeds loneliness. So breaking down the them versus us barrier is where my project had to begin. To begin the Cyclone Way, the entire student body of 518 students is separated into 23 teams of 22 students per team. The essential factor to consider when creating these teams was to ensure that each team had a diverse population, meaning that students from each school group, club, activity, and sport were spread out evenly among the teams. In a way, each student is separated from his or her group, guaranteeing those unique and dynamic teams. Not only were the student groupings essential for creating a culture for the Cyclone Way, but inviting the entire Harlan community into the project was essential to ensuring that the values of the Cyclone Way permeate both in and out of the school day. To do this, each student team is partnered with 2 adult advisors who will facilitate the vision. The advisors for each team are made up of the genuinely sincere and committed members of the Harlan Community School District. CEOs of local companies, business personnel, school board member, and the mayor are just some of the adult advisors willing to make a difference in the lives of Harlan community students. To truly encourage these students to step out of their comfort zones, we have to shift where they already are. Through classes and many activities, students have already formed a bond with their teachers, but allowing this partnership with the community gives students a chance to break through the brick walls and share real-life connections, conversations, and experiences. In these teams, students and advisors will meet once a month during the school day during Cyclone Way time. Once the student teams and advisors were in place, the Cyclone Way swept through a student body assembly on September 9th. The assembly had an upbeat feel in order to get kids excited for the project. It began with a student-led flash mob of Journey's Don't Stop Believing, followed by a school-wide rock, paper, scissors tournament, the game of choice at Harlan. Once their winner was crowned, a spoken word audio was played to the student body to give them a feeling of what Cyclone Way was all about. After the audio was finished, the definition of what the Cyclone Way project is and how the project works was explained to the student body. And finally, to conclude the assembly, a list of extracurriculars was read, and students involved in those extracurriculars were asked to stand and remain standing. When the list was finished, every single person in that auditorium was standing. At that moment, no one was alone. The second Cyclone Way meeting time was on October 7th. It was the first time the teams met with their other teammates and their advisors. We offered personal icebreakers and time to truly get to know the people they'd be spending once a month with. The next scheduled time for Cyclone Way is November 4th, which is when teams will begin a rotation revolving around projects that help eliminate the feeling of loneliness by creating a community. These activities focus on the core values of respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, trustworthiness, and citizenship. They emphasize the idea of inclusion. all while going beyond the school-based curriculum. 4 teams at a time will participate in each of these 6 activities, meaning by the end of the school year, each student will have participated in all activities revolving around values that create a community. Now, generating these activities for each month that include the targeted values while promoting the idea of a community and incorporated age-appropriate fun was no easy task. So, we began with respect. To begin the respect activity, teams will participate in the Who and Not game, allowing them to get energized before they're asked to share in the guided activity set. After the game, students will watch videos that speak to the issues of how serious bullying is and can be. Students will be led through conversations to hear how words truly affect people by hearing stories of bullying that happened right within the walls of their own high school. The second activity, responsibility, has a strong message as well. Teams will be scared straight into no longer texting and driving through impactful videos and personal stories. Nearly 50% of teenagers admit to texting while behind the wheel of a car. If Cyclone Way can sway at least one person to put down his or her phone while driving, it has potentially saved one life. To end the responsibility activity on a lighter note, students will be asked to participate in a rigorous obstacle course, while preventing an egg from breaking. Whichever team finishes the obstacle course first with the egg intact has proved to be the most responsible. The third activity for the Cyclone Way is the Fairness Project, which teaches kids, quite literally, how to play fair. Teams will be pitted against one another in a 90-person game of Capture the Flag. The entire school building will be divided into 4 quadrants, allowing enough area to play. Students won't be with their typical friends during the game, which means they'll really have to rely on their teammates to succeed. The Fairness Project allows teams to let loose and have fun, all while learning how to quite literally play fair. The fourth activity, the Caring Project, has a more physical impact. For this activity, teams will be creating care packages for the needy. Teams will work in an assembly fashion to create a large quantity of care packages that include tissues, shampoo, toothpaste, soap, feminine hygiene products, bath tissue, canned foods, razors, and bottled water. During the summer, the first batch of items for care packages were delivered through free will donation. During this time, over 500 units were collected for care packages. If every student during the Cyclone Way averages at about 5 care packages made, over 3,000 care packages will be delivered to local shelters by the end of the school year. The fifth project allows teams to care for each other in another way, by forming a bond with new people. The trustworthiness activity allows students to participate in trust games and exercises. The activities are designed to give students the opportunity to really open up and create trusting students who care for one another. The trustworthiness project will begin with the game Minefield, which allows students to go through an obstacle course while blindfolded, led only by verbal directions from his or her teammates. After the game Minefield, the Trustworthiness Project will have similar games to focus and elaborate on the importance of trust. The sixth and final activity focuses on citizenship. It is the only project where students will be asked to leave the school building. During the citizenship project, each high schooler will be given the opportunity to serve as a one-to-one mentor with students kindergarten through 2nd grade. Each team will be assigned a classroom in each high schooler or younger student. And during the Cyclone Way time, these high schoolers will help the younger students with reading, writing, and any classwork they really need help with. They'll be given the opportunity to really form a bond with Harlan's youth. And along the way, those younger students might teach high schoolers a thing or two. Each of these 6 projects aim to combat feelings of loneliness by creating community, just as Herbert Hoover created for the entire United States during his presidency. The community that Cyclone Way creates, though, tears down the them versus us dynamic that has been ingrained in every student. But if that is not enough, Cyclone Way has another motivator: competition. For each project completed, teams will be ranked on a rubric filled out by their advisors. The advisors will rank the teams on a scale of 1 to 5 on their ability to work together, accomplish a task, organize themselves, participate, and communicate. These scores become points, and the team with the most points in May will win the mysterious grand prize. However, the projects are not the only way the teams can earn points. The final Cyclone Way Day in May will be an entire school day dedicated to students' enjoyment. Teams will be competing in smaller arcade activities to earn points, such as bubble soccer, human foosball, karaoke contests, Wii games, board games, card games, etc. Each game completed will rack up points for the students' teams. The Cyclone Way aims to actively combat the feelings of loneliness while promoting human welfare, just as President Hoover did throughout his entire life. The Cyclone Way creates a community and network within the high school by pushing students out of their comfort zones and teaching more than reading, writing, and arithmetic. The Cyclone Way destroys the them versus us dynamic because there simply can't be a them and an us when there's a we working together to build a stronger, kinder community.
Thank you very much. I have a question to start with. What is your role in this? You are speaking to us today. Are you one of the leaders of this project, or how would you describe your role as a Harlan High School student in this whole project?
I created the entire project and will facilitate it myself. I work with the superintendent to help plan this project, and I have a committee of others who I designate to do each 6 of these projects because I can't deal with all 518
Right.
students at once. But I came up with the project, I organize it, and I speak to the community advisors and faculty.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
How did you get your school administration to convince to do this? I think this is really cool.
Well, actually, it started with another project I did called I Care Week. And I Care Week is an entire week dedicated to like anti-bullying and suicide awareness and risk factors and mental health. But we decided that that's not enough. And I meet with the superintendent a lot, and he's on the same page as me. He thinks that anti-bullying is a big problem, self-love and self-worth is something that we should be promoting every day. So getting him on the same page wasn't as hard as it was getting the principal and other faculty.
Okay, and one other question. The character counts that they got going on in Des Moines, have you talked to anybody that's involved with that group?
We've actually had offers for the character counts people to come and talk to our group.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So you're now into October, have any of these weeks taken place? How are they spread out over the school year?
They're the first week of every month of the 9-month school year. So we've had the assembly to kick it off, the meet and greet to just get to know the people so it's not awkward and uncomfortable because these kids really don't know the people that they're teamed up with. And then the project-based rotations begin in 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks. And my other question is, knowing teenagers, how do you get them to buy into this if they don't know the other kids on their team? What's the incentive for them to get to know each other and to stop being us versus them within the team?
A big problem with the them versus us is they don't know enough of the people. It might be a small town community, but when we first placed them with the teams, they had no idea who these people were. And just allowing the friendship and friendly faces around the hall to put a face to the name and activities to the name is a huge step to destroying the them versus us dynamic.
I guess that concludes our questions. Thank you very much for your presentation. Very impressive project.